80. The term is the biodiversity, the term Norman Mayer. In W. Walter G. Rosen, 1985, the first meeting of the National Forum of the Biodiversity in Washington, September 1986. 1986. The next one is the uh, what are the biodiversity mean? Bio mean living things. Next one is the types of the biodiversity. These are the three types of the biodiversity. The biodiversity refers the variety of life on Earth and categorized into three main types. One is the genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. Genetic diversity variations of genes within species. Genetic diversity variations of genes within species. It helps the species adapt to the environmental changes and resist disease. Example, different breeds of the dogs or varieties of the rice. Mainly variation of genes within the species is also called as the genetic diversity. The species diversity, the variety of the species in an ecosystem. More species ensure the ecosystem stability Values of the biodiversity, ecological value, economic values, social and cultural values, aesthetic and recreational values, and ethical value. Ecological value maintains the ecosystem balance, provides oxygen, regulates the climate, and supports of the pollination. Economic value, biodiversity contributes to agriculture, medicine, forestry, and fisheries. Example, many medicines are the derived from the plants. Social and cultural values, many cultures depends on the biodiversity for food, ritual, and traditions. Example, the sacred groves in India. Aesthetic and recreation value, biodiversity supports tourism, wildlife, next to the photography and nature-based recreation. Ethical value, every species has a right to exist and the humans have the responsibility to protect the biodiversity. Next one is the biodiversity. Next one is the biodiversity conservation at national and international levels. Nation level India Biodiversity Act 2002 ensures the conservation, the sustainable use of the biodiversity. And next one is the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 protects the endangered species and establishes the protected areas. 1972 is the mainly they can conserve the tigers. National Biodiversity Authority (NBA) regulates the biodiversity use and ensures the benefit sharing. Protected areas, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere, and next one is the nation parks, the protected areas, and the government initiative Project Tiger, Project Elephant, and National Mission for the Himalayan Studies. Next one is the these are the all are the nation level activities and then international level conservation on biological diversity (CBD) in 1992, a global agreement for the biodiversity conservation 1992. Cities mean conservation on international trade and endangered species, controls trade of the endangered species. Next, Ramsar conservation in 1971, protect the wetlands of the international importance. IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, publishes the red list of the endangered species. UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, leads the global environmental efforts and including the biodiversity conservation. Next one is the conservation. Biodiversity and at the international national levels are the biodiversity comprises the 1.4 millions of identified species distributed in the major biomes. Actually, biodiversity at international level, according to mayors, estimated the approximately 25 places of the classified hotspots. Now, in recent 2025 data, according to 36 hotspots is there in the throughout the world. Okay, the hotspots, what is the sort support the nearly endemic and restricted range plant species, which account for about the approximately percent of the world total vascular flora. These hotspots also richness the endemics and the groups of the lower organisms, particular birds, reptiles, amphibians. and butterflies and mummies. The harbor 60% of all species of the organism, including the non-endemic. Although endemic species richness is the primary citation of the recognizing hotspots according to the mayors. The following characters also considered as the quality, the area of hotspots. Mainly, the site should be already to be threatened or under the imminent threat. It should be include the diverse range of the habitat types. It should have the significant percentage of the specialist species adapted to specific adaptive conditions. It should contain the important gene pools of the plant's value and the peoples are at least potentially useful plants. The original the original 36 hotspots put together the forms 0.2% of the world total area and different from the one another in size. In many of these are the spots occur in the tropical zones and very few in the Mediterranean biome. Based on vegetation, these hotspots can be classified into seven types: tropical rainforest, tropical monocotyledon forest, mixture of the tropical rainforest, and is in the tropical mountain forest, the tropical moist forest, subtropical and the warm temperature forest are in the several tropical habitats. Mayors proposed to the hotspots an idea primarily because the is the of that is the globally level and these are the areas huge conservation priority of unique restricted range species are the lost can be the replaced by the nation level. India is the one of the 12 megabyte cities in the world, occupying the 11th position with the 2.4% of the world area. Accounts of the for the 7.31 of the floral wealth in the world is the total species count in the approximately 89 percentage. The country has the great climate and the altitudinal variation, rainless deserted areas, highest rainfall in with the tropical and subtropical temperature and alpine climates, very humid areas with the hot deserts, icy mountains with the warm coastlines and supports with the biodiversity. There are the 16 types of the major forest and 2021 minor forest, sorry, 22, sorry, 221 other minor forest types of the India. India plays the primitive angiosperms like the magnolia, michaelia, both of the magnoliaceae, tetracorn in the tetracentraceae, and next one chloranthus in the chloranthaceae. India has two major realms of the Palearctic in Indo-Malayan and the three biomes of the tropical, tropical, and dry regions of the warm desert. India is the 10 biogeographical zones, two world biodiversity hotspots extend in India, Western Ghats and Sri Lanka and Burma. Mainly, India also they are containing the four hotspots. Actually, in the throughout the world, they are containing the 36 hotspots. In the only four is the Western Ghats, Himalayas, National Sundarlands, and Indo-Burma region, especially islands. These are the four hotspots are available in India. According to Wavilo, 1926, the outstanding plant geographer known as the Centers of the Genetic Diversity and Centers of the Origin Cultivated Plants recognized the Hindustan Center of Origin Cultivated Plants, and India is the homeland for the 167 cultivated species and 326 wild relatives. It is the primary center of the diversity of crops like the rice, black, and next one is the black gram, pigeon pea, and etc. Secondary center for the African crops like the sorghum, cowpea, and next one is the sunflower, etc. Considered to be center of the origin and the 30 and 250,000 varieties of the rice, pigeon pea, mango. What are the threats of the biodiversity? Threats of the biodiversity. The worldwide destruction of the natural environment has led to the tremendous tremendous loss of the biological diversity over the past few decades. The key factors of the destruction of the are population explosion, urbanization, industrialization, and habitat destruction. Extinction of the species is a natural phenomena, but is the process has been accelerated due to the human interference. The extraction of The extraction of The extraction of one plant is the accompanied the extraction of some 30 species. About the 12.5% of the world flora is the facing extraction. The world is losing for forest in the 1% of the annum for the 29 hectare per minute. For some of the uh, factors of the threatening the biodiversity throughout the world. Harvesting of timber and logs, poles and the charcoal. Next one, expanding of farms and the plantation of the commercial crops. Uncontrolled grazing of the livestock. Tourism and other related pressures. Mineral and oil extraction. Developmental programs like the construction of dams and the communication facilities. Habitat destruction by the enrichment of the natural forest and the wetlands, environmental pollution, introduce the species. Next one is the unsustainable usage trade of the forest and the plain resources of the medicinal plants. Okay, next one, loss of biodiversity and economic process. Biodiversity is the natural resource and the great economic value. Therefore, it is the natural to expect the application of economic process to the biosource will lead to the significant loss of the biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity is the largely the results of this value and maximum economic process. Uh, Three important economic processes cause the loss of biodiversity: conservation and specialization and globalization. These are the three factors are affecting of the loss of the biodiversity. Biodiversity resources constitute the natural natural capital, and humans make the choice of the whether to hold the resources in their original form or the modify them some manner. In the course of the human history, several instances apparent wherein the natural resources have been converted into the more productivity and usable forms acceptable to the humans. One type in typical instance of the conservation process is the transformation of virgin and land with the several native plant species into the monoculture field. Economics has the forced man to the choice the single most productive plant species are the cha- challenging in the solar energy field where the several plant species the grave and the
The 500 is